It may be winter here now in Australia, but my mind's focused on spring 2023. So let's go head out to the garden. I want to show you how I plant bare root strawberries. Plus, I'll give you an update on some of those spring flowering bulbs in containers, as well as showing you some more edibles which I've planted in pots. But first, oh my goodness, I need a bit of help with this one because I cannot quite figure out what is going on with some of my cold hardy vegetables. I want to show you something here in the brassica tunnel. I'm not sure if I should be happy about it or slightly concerned. So here we have two cauliflower plants, a purple variety and then the more traditional creamy white. While it's really exciting to see these cauliflower form, they are very small compared to cauliflower I've grown here in my garden in years past. Even the plants themselves are little. Usually cauliflower heads only start to form when my plants are about 20 centimeters in diameter and there's plenty of large green leaves, similar to what you see here with these Brussels sprout plants. So the question is, what's happening here? There's a number of reasons why my cauliflower plants could be forming small heads like these. For example, it could be the temperature, the sunlight, or just the general health of these plants overall. And then of course, some varieties do produce smaller heads than usual. However, I don't think the heads would be this teeny tiny. And then you can also notice here that some of the florets are starting to separate. It's not like a really nice compact cauliflower head. So that to me there is a sign that it could possibly be bolting, going to flower, which is the plant's way of, trying to survive, putting out seeds so that the next generation will carry on. Yeah, so I don't know. My best guess would be that these two plants are just not very healthy in general, because if it was due to the weather or the sunlight, well, surely the other plants surrounding it, the other brassica plants, would be in a similar state, but they're not. These ones look quite happy and healthy. So yeah, I'm only guessing, I'm not an expert, but I reckon it's just the plants themselves. I may just end up harvesting these two heads, pulling them out, amending the soil, and then putting something fresh in here. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but this raised garden bed is going to be my new strawberry patch. I've got a whole bunch of these, which are bare root strawberries that I'm going to plant in here. So each of these are an individual strawberry plant that is in its dormant stage, and bare root simply means that all the soil has been removed from around its root system, which is this part here, all these little strands. That's the plant's roots. And then this part here is called the crown, and you can actually see with a few of them they're already starting to put out a few shoots here and there. So from this top section you'll have all the foliage, flowers, and then eventually the strawberries. Strawberry plants are perennial, and by purchasing them like this as bare root during the cooler months, that's usually when you find them for sale, they're actually a lot more economical. So each of these cost me $1, compared to if you were to buy a strawberry plant in springtime, which I would say on average costs here in Australia roughly around $4 to $5. So buying them like this can definitely save you some money. Of course, the cheapest way to grow strawberries is to start them from seed, which I have done before. I've grown the alpine variety, but if you do it that way, you could be waiting at least a year until you're harvesting strawberries. By purchasing them here like bare root, it's a cheaper option, as I said, and it will mean that I will be able to harvest some strawberries this first season. But it really won't be until the following year when there will be an abundance of fruit. The variety I have here is called Tioga. It's a very popular one here in Australia, and it bears fruit from spring to summer. When it comes to fruit production, there are some different categories of strawberry plants. One being where certain varieties produce all their fruit at once and then that's it for the season. And then there's other varieties which produce different flushes of fruit over a period of time, and that's what I'm hoping will happen with this particular variety. I will get a prolonged season of fruit that we'll be able to pick when we come out to the garden, have some lovely little snacks, add them to yogurt, muesli, you know, maybe even, hopefully that would be nice if I even get enough to make some homemade jam. I prepared this bed during the week. What I did was I added mushroom compost, regular compost and cow manure, and I also covered the top with some sugarcane mulch. Now when you're growing strawberries in a raised bed or a container, wherever you choose to grow them, it's really important that they are put into free draining soil. Before I plant these into the raised bed, what I want to do first is to hydrate the root system, and I do this by placing the whole plants in a bucket of water which has some seaweed solution added to it, which is this stuff. You can get lots of different brands out there. Sea salt is quite popular. I just had this one handy, and that just will help, yeah, as I said, hydrate the root system before you put it into the ground. Now you don't want to leave it in here too long because you don't want to cause any of these roots to like get oversaturated and rot. So I would say about a half an hour is plenty of time. I'm not going to have time to plant them all today, but let me just demonstrate with this one plant how you pop them into the bed. So as I said, you can actually grab the whole lot of them at once and chuck them in there. Okay, now let's pretend it's been 30 minutes and this one has been soaking. What we need to do is you can actually lay out your plants in the bed just to make sure that the spacing is correct. Ideally, I mean, they don't look like much at the moment, but you're better off like leaving a decent space in between the plants and not like cramming them together. So I would leave approximately, let me see, maybe about a foot apart. So I will do say 1, 2, 3 times maybe 4 in here, and let me show you how I'll plant it. I can't find my gloves or a little shovel. It's typical. Well, what I've done here is I've just made a little hole, and what I'm going to do is with the plant I'm going to pop it in here. Now if these roots were a bit longer and if they're tangled, just try and separate them gently, and you can spread them out there at the base just like this. The most important thing to remember when you are putting a strawberry plant, bare root strawberry plant in the ground, is to ensure that none of this crown area is buried underneath the soil, because that will just cause major issues, and more than likely what will happen is the whole plant will rot. So what you need to do is, like, say roughly just around where the roots start to appear, you want to get the soil level just there. Let me show you. Just planted it, and you can see there that all the crown is above the ground, and you can just start to see the roots there at the base. It's really important to make sure that you have mulch around your strawberry plants, because they are a very thirsty plant and you really don't want this top section completely drying out. So putting on a nice thick layer of mulch, keeping it slightly away from the crown there, that will really help these plants develop nicely and grow big and strong and producing lots of fruit. Note to self, a bargain is not a bargain unless you actually try to revive the clearance plants and not just do what I did, leaving them here for a couple of weeks, ignoring them, not giving them much water, and now they are pretty much dead. Like, they didn't look like this when I picked them up for $2 a punnet. They actually looked all right. They just needed a bit of sea salt, a bit of rejuvenation. But now I've just done it, and to think that someone else could have picked these up and had them flourishing in the garden now, I feel like I've wasted money and I've wasted plants. I want to show you these dying cuttings as well. Remember I propagated them a few weeks ago now. There was the rosemary, lavender, and these ones here, which are the pride of Mandaria. Well, this has been sitting on my windowsill in the kitchen. There's been days where it's been completely dried out, no water at the bottom. The water has been minging. I haven't been keeping on top of them, and I do not see any roots down here. I might just start again, I don't know. I mean, that one there still has a bit of green, it's promising, but the others are looking pretty pathetic. Oh, it's definitely plant neglect or cutting neglect for me there. Now, moving on to something a bit more hopeful, I have some fresh shoots appearing here in the container garden. They're pretty much all from the spring flowering bulbs. So I have these, which are the grape hyacinths, plenty there. Over here I have some freesias. If I just move over the mulch, we can see some of the green tips there popping through the soil. Beautiful. And then similar thing happening over here with the baboon flowers. You can see fresh sprouts appearing. One reason why I love growing spring bulbs in containers, particularly hyacinths, daffodils and jonquils, is because once the flowers have finished, it's important to allow the foliage to die back naturally, so this will brown off and die down, and it's not very attractive. So rather than having, you know, dead looking foliage on display in your garden, you can just move the container, push it out of sight, out of mind, and let it do its thing. Now, the reason why it's really important to allow this foliage to die back naturally is because the foliage enables nutrients to be redirected back down into the bulb, which is a very important step if you want to make sure that you're going to have a beautiful display of flowers again the following spring. Also here with the Sparaxis, I really crammed the bulbs into this space. Hopefully they will flower well. I mean, ideally in a dream world this would just be a blanket of flowers. I think I actually put 50 bulbs in there, so it's my first time growing them. I don't know how they're going to go, but if it works out, it's just going to be a rainbow of colour on top. Over here there's some daffodil bulbs. I haven't actually checked this container. Let's pull the mulch back and see if I can spot. Oh yeah, there we go, look at that. And then I also planted some more containers. These ones have shallots and onions. Actually, I don't even know what this is. Oh no, this is Dutch iris in this one. And then shallot. Oh, they're the potato onions. And more shallots. I actually have 3 spare. I need to find somewhere to put them. Oh, and do you remember I was saying to you I wasn't sure how deep to put the potato onions? Oh my goodness, you probably spotted it when I was showing you the label. It says it here, plant so tops remain visible. Ugh. So there you go. I put them in here and you can see just the tips of the plants popping through the soil. Do you remember those store-bought Kittler potatoes that I discovered were sprouting in my cupboard, and I ended up planting some of them in here as a bit of an experiment? Well, look what's happening. There's fresh shoots appearing, which is so encouraging. And in fact, I'm really excited about continuing this experimentation with store-bought vegetables. I've filled up 2 more grow bags here, and let me show you what else I have got from the shops that I'm going to be planting in these spots and just seeing how they grow. It might work, it mightn't work, but it's all a bit of fun. In here I've got garlic, some ginger and turmeric, and I'm thinking of filling each of these up. I will add an extra one. And yeah, just see how it goes. I'm really curious. Now, when it comes to the garlic, I know I'm quite late in planting it, because usually with garlic you plant it in autumn, but I just haven't had a chance to do it. So yeah, I guess it's not, well, they never are proper experiments, are they? But I mean, there is a big chance these could fail because I have put them in so late. But you know what, I might as well give it a shot. I'll pop them in there. Then I have this ginger that I purchased. Actually, it's been on the windowsill for quite some time now, and I notice it's already starting to sprout. You see there the green, and over here too. So we'll have shoots come from here, so I'll plant them in another bag. And then the turmeric, not too sure how this one will go, but I'll give it a try. I probably need a bit more because I don't have much in this. Or you know what, I might even put it in one of these really big bags. I might just put them in a smaller pot. This turmeric is looking a little bit shriveled. Maybe I need to use a fresher piece. Not sure. Have any of you grown turmeric from store-bought before? I'd love to hear your experience if you have. Anyway, that is about it for this week, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end. Remember, if you're new here to my channel, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing this video. It all really helps get my channel out there. We'll see. Anyway, have a great week. I'll see you again next Friday.